Hi, welcome to another episode of Hot Takes. On Tuesday, I know it's a couple of days away yet, but on Tuesday, Keir Starmer will give his first keynote speech as Prime Minister since becoming the Prime Minister back on the 4th of July. And prior to this, they always like to reveal and release the speech to the press so that the press can evaluate it and get their copy in straight away, so that as he stands there and gives this speech, they can get the presses rolling out and people know. And so it's out straight away. They don't have to do it. So they do it in advance. And so we're going to have a look here because some of the things he's saying in this speech, I think, are going to worry people. Now, what I'm going to say straight away is, of course, we've seen how bad it is in the first 53 days of Labour's regime. This isn't a government, it's a regime, isn't it? And it's been horrific in the first 53 days. The removal of rights, of freedoms, the clamping down of protesters, the announcement of massive tax rises all across the board, the way that billions upon billions of pounds have fled the country because of what he has done or what he says he will do. Given where we are, his line that he's about to say in this speech should put fear into the heart of everyone still remaining in this country, because he's issuing a very stark, clear warning. And the warning is things are going to get way worse before they get better. And I think he's right, but they won't get better until the next government comes in. They're just going to continue to get worse and worse and worse under this government. And I think it's going to get way worse than what he's saying. I think it's going to get way worse than what most people could easily conceive or imagine. I think taxes are going to be horrendous. I think they're going out for a deliberate policy of destruction of the economy, of destruction of savings, destruction of wealth. And as I say, most people have their wealth in their homes. I think they're coming after homes. We know with the wealth tax, which I mentioned yesterday, which is being pushed by all the major unions, all the major donors, because they want to remove power from people. If people don't have money, people then don't have power. And when you are beholden to a government, that government has you. They control you in every possible way imaginable. This is why, of course, they're destroying farmland so that we cannot feed ourselves. They're destroying our energy sector so we do not have enough energy in this country. Whilst we're reliant on other countries, we can be controlled. And if we do things they don't like, they can starve us out or they can freeze us out. And that's all part of this great big world master plan, which we must reject. Must. This isn't political. This is survival. But come Tuesday, he's saying that things will get worse and that the government has also, what he's saying, has to tackle what he calls a societal black hole and the rise of the far right. Now, there is no such thing as the far right. What he's calling the far right are people who disagree with him, his government, and his government's policies. He's trying to create a boogeyman, someone that everyone can get behind and hate, because if you create the other, you can dehumanize the other. And once you've dehumanized them, then you can eradicate them. That's exactly what the little Austrian did in Germany in the 30s. He dehumanized the Jews. Once they're no longer human, it was quite easy to dispose of them. And that's what Starmer is doing. He's dehumanizing people by assigning them a label. They're not people, they're labels. Far right thugs, not human beings whose views are different from mine. And you'll start to notice this a lot, so keep an eye out for it. Labels will be applied because that dehumanizes and turns people from being human beings into ciphers, into animals, into things that can be easily eradicated. And that, of course, was the plan. They keep lying about this £22 billion black hole, which is 50% of it's evaporated, because the only reason there's a £22 billion black hole, it was 20, remember, but now it's 22. But the 22 billion, half of that's gone, because it was all to do with the amount of interest this government is paying on debt. But that little 0.25% cut has cut so much off that interest that that's half of it gone already. Another 0.25% and it's all gone. But that's no good. They don't have this big frightening 22 billion that they keep trying to push. Then they don't have an excuse for tax rises, and they've got to have tax rises. They've got to keep pushing the fear, uncertainty and doubt. And that is another reason why they keep bringing in the foreigners, to keep bringing in the illegals. It's not that they don't want to stop them. It's just that if you bring the illegals in, you can use the illegals as the excuse. It also, of course, helps to keep prices down because it keeps wages down. And the last thing you want is tradesmen actually earning the correct money. When you can get the illegals in for a third of the price or half the price, it's called slave labour, and the Labour government are actually encouraging slave labour. And they're actually part of the problem when it comes to people smuggling. People smuggling now earns more money than drug smuggling. It is the world's biggest industry, smuggling people. And by not stopping them, by not putting the Navy in the channel, by not putting these people straight back, Keir Starmer is now leading a massive people smuggling organisation. He won't like it, but that's the first to come. Now, we've got the budget on October the 30th. Prepare for the worst. Watch your savings disappear. Watch your taxes increase like hell. Watch everything devalue. And all of a sudden, overnight, you'll be way poorer. Just, of course, at the same time as the fuel bills will be going up. And, of course, they're taking that £300 a month away, £300 winter allowance away from the pensioners. So their fuel bill will increase by about £500. £500 on pensioners, people who can't earn any more. Interesting, isn't it, that they decide that they're going to do that? Perhaps it's a way of eradicating old people. Old people tend to be more conservative. If you can get rid of them, it just means that fewer Conservatives later at the next election. I think it's far too late. Labour have already lost the next election, assuming we're allowed to have one. The rot is in. 5 years? If it's 5 years, this country's finished. Something has to change, and it has to change quickly, or this country is done. He says the worst is yet to come. My God, how bad is it going to get? Thanks a lot. Bye.